that we can still have a great quality of life for us and for ourselves. Most of all, we just want to thank God for giving us an opportunity. We want to send our program out to each of you who listen to us each Sunday and hope that we can say something or do something that can inspire you to move from a period of advocacy to action. We want to send our program out to all the sick and the shut-in, all of those who are incarcerated, and all of those who are prepared this afternoon and tomorrow to celebrate the Dr. Martin Luther King birthday. The blacks in government will have their breakfast in the morning over at the, I forgot where the place is.
Dearman Street.
No, not the Dearman Street.
Is it Central?
No, I get it. But the blacks in government have their annual breakfast tomorrow. It will be at the locale.
Okay.
It's at the locale because the Central High School building, the president of Bishop State has made it very inconvenient for us to use our own facility. So they had to move over to the locale. But and then tonight we got the banquet and it starts at 6 o'clock at the Marriott. And then in the morning, we got a series of workshops for youth on a youth summit on bullying and youth violence so that we could teach your children the tools that they need in order to combat bullying and youth violence, which is an inhibitor to the process of education. We have 4 or 5 breakout sections that will be taking place in the morning. You can come over and eat the free breakfast, bring your children over. It's at the Dearman Street Community Center, sponsored by People United. Without the waste of time today, because we have a very important program to present to you today, we have some very disturbing news to share with you this afternoon concerning not only the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King and what he stands for, but to understand and celebrate the quality of life that we ourselves have come to and what we can expect for the future. But we have come to a period of chaos in our desires that have resulted in our own demise as a race of people. So we must come together and do the things. And tomorrow, what we want to take as our topic today is the City of Mobile form of government. I've invited Mr. Reggie Hill today, who's an advocate and speaks at the city councils all the time, to come. And Reggie, I want you to start off with telling us what is the problem and what we could do to help solve it.
Well, first off, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come again, give greetings to your audience. It's always a pleasure to have the dialogues that we have. Very important information for the city of Mobile. Right now, very unfortunate time where we see once again, and this is not just unique to Mobile, it's something that we see all over the country, but right now in our city specifically, where we have an opportunity to roll back all the progress that we've made for decades. We had stout and just true soldiers that were in the trenches, like the late Senator Michael Figures, who fought to implement the necessary legislation that would give us an equal voice at the table so that we would be represented and so that we would be able to have the concerns of our communities met. And right now, we have word that all of those potential initiatives that were put in place will be rolled back.
They'll be rolled back.
And what's sad about that, because I hope that we're going to get more into it today as we discuss it, but we're already in violation of what was passed in 1985. We look at the demographics for the city of Mobile, where people of color, those people who look like us, we're already the majority. So we should be represented through the majority on the body of the city council. And unfortunately, it does not look like that. So not only is that not enough for some of the leaders in the city, for us already to be displaced from what was originally put in place, we're now wanting to say we're going to take away the supermajority. And interestingly enough, things like the budget and electing the council president, those things had the simple majority. But they understood that any other legislation that would impact specific districts and communities directly, it had to be something done by a supermajority so that people wouldn't be overlooked. And right now, we're seeing like we could possibly lose that right if the people are mobilizing together right now.
Okay, let's go back to one just to define and to bring into perspective what is the supermajority. In 1984, I, along with Dr. Joseph Mitchell, Commissioner Sam Jones, and Marcellus Lovegood, and a whole lot of other people who were really advocates in working with Senator Michael Figures. Michael Figures was the state senator who became the president pro tem of the Senate, the highest ranking office for an African American ever in the state of Alabama. Well, he arranged to have the supermajority vote legislated through the state legislature that would give African Americans what Michael Figures called was leverage, so that we could have some say-so and some input into what was happening to our city. But just like Reggie said, right now that is being threatened to run back. We have a mayor who has always advocated one mobile, but I'm really constantly, Reggie, concerned about what one mobile were they talking about. Were they talking about a one mobile that excluded African Americans from participation in the government? This attempt that they are making now, the Zagabe Act that was passed in 1985 that mandated the supermajority form of government has special provisions, and Reggie discussed some of those provisions.
Well, absolutely. I want to get to your first statement. Then
Go
I'll
ahead.
Definitely discuss those.
You know, I'll be jumping the gun.
Well, no, but it's
excited.
good though, because all of these things, they're connected together.
They are connected together.
And it was interesting. I think back to when the mayor was inaugurated, and you know, at his speech, he said, "One Mobile is a time when no voice will be muffled, no vision stymied. One Mobile is not a mere slogan; it's a call to action and service." So when we hear something that could be that strong and motivating for people, you expect it to represent everybody in the city.
The total popular.
Absolutely. But when we look at something similar to our president who ran on Make America Great Again, we see that that's not necessarily for all who would be considered Americans.
Yes,
and I just have not seen enough from the administration that would reflect the idea that we're all on one accord. There are people within the department who I admire, who I believe really have the best interests of the city at heart. Well, I mean, but there's some. You know, we can't say that everybody there does not look out for all mobilities, but the mass majority of the decisions. So regardless if there are people in place to do that, the decisions that are being made are not reflecting us being as one mobile. We look at the provisions that are within the Zagabe Act. It calls for us to be represented by the population. And when you're represented by the population, that means the people who are making decisions look like the people the decisions are being made for.
Impacted on them.
And thank you. And that's what we're not seeing. And so we're seeing where even what happened recently with annexation, the attempt at annexation, I believe it was a way and a means to silence the people who really needed the help even more.
To dilute the vote.
Absolutely.
So that the majority, which is 52% of the people who occupy Mobile are African American.
Absolutely.
But, you know, my friend told me in Montgomery, I said, man, y'all got 52% of the population, why you don't have an African American mayor? Sometimes I think that stems from what we have within ourselves too, Reggie. So how does that impact on us as a race of people as we get ready to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday tomorrow?
Well, I believe one of the main things that Dr. King wanted us to be above anything was engaged.
Yes,
he wanted us to be a part of the process. He put his life on the line to ensure that our voices were heard. And I think that this is a time where we're going to have to be more involved than ever before. We're going to have to ensure that people who feel like their vote does not matter, that they're given a reason to understand that it does. I talk to young people all the time who often feel that same sentiment, that their vote does not matter. I say, well, if you buy gas, you buy groceries, you pay rent, you pay tuition, whatever the case may be, it is someone making a decision on what that rate is, what the inflation may be, what you're going to have to do years and years on down the line. When people make these decisions, they're not making a vote or a decision that's going to last a week or 2 days. These are usually like decades of installations of ideas. And so if we're not engaged right now, we're allowing our city to have a control that is going to take a whole nother generation of people to come back and potentially fix.
But look, Reggie, the other day when I was at the school board with a conference, I was informed that the mayor, Sandy Stinson, wanted to purchase Maines Middle School, which is about 18 to 20 acres. So I asked the person, I said, well, why do you want to get it? Well, they want to build affordable houses. I said, well, I tell you one thing, I got 11 more months on this school board, and it takes 5 votes. They'll never get it. But what the object is, he wants to build affordable houses on the main property, but the people in Birdsville and RV Taylor, what about that concern? Why can't you establish, they gonna wipe them out the map. They gonna do them like they did the Indians, send them to the reservation, see? And they've altered the property. So what input could you think that during the celebration of Dr. King that we should be energized on trying to make a critical difference?
Well, we first have to look at the examples that we have that came before this opportunity now for purchase of Mahanes. We can look right at Roger Williams.
That's right.
This property was
Happy
torn
Hill.
down, and it's just sat there. And then now we finally see where the Happy Hills property, after nearly 10 years, is finally going to have something done to it. But in both of these instances, we have yet to even see a plan to be put in place to restore those areas,
No plan.
or to ensure that the people who were just cut off from the city services and the opportunity to improve their quality of life, there's nothing been put in place for them. So the first thing I think we should have that red flag to kind of come up and say, well, can we at least see a plan first before we even start thinking about something of that nature? You got
Okay.
people right around the corner in that area who have been pushed away. Why aren't we looking at them and you're saying now we're going to put something else? We're putting, what was it, the cart before the horse, or the horse before the cart?
Well, let me just interject this because we don't have much time.
Yes, sir.
But what I want to point out to the audience out there, and especially all you old people like me and all the young people, you have to look out for your future. What is trying to occur now that I've been informed by some of the city council persons that the attempt is made to take us back, where they take away the supermajority. How do they do this? The Zachary Act says that if 10% of the people who voted in the previous election will sign a petition and petition to the city council, then they will have the possibility to order a referendum where the people in the city of Mobile can vote and tell us whether we're going back or not. But look at the problem though. The problem is that because African Americans are enjoying with the annexation vote, that shows you the power of the supermajority, because it takes 5 votes in order to make any meaningful legislation that's going to impact on the community. But there are some people in this town, there are a group of people right now, so 50,000 people voted in the previous election. So you would only have to get 5,000 signatures in order to petition the city council to make a referendum so that they could pull the people out. Well, look, already 17,000 people have exited downtown. So when they killed Roger Williams Project, they killed Orange Grove, now they're trying to kill Birdsville and RV Taylor and all of those projects. What's going to happen is that the population is going to be so skewed. See, all over the world, Reggie, last week, I heard a statistic that's from the United States Department of Department of Education, that said for all of the children who registered in the first grade across the United States for 2019 and 2020, guess who they are? African Americans and Latinos. So I understand how does fear play into this saga of the city government change?
I think the fear is the main component to why all of this is being in place. Right. And it's unfortunate that we have to date a lot of this stuff back to slavery, but I want to put two elements. I'm going to go from slavery, then I'm going to move to the OJ trial, and then I'm going I'm going to say it really quickly, because I believe what has happened is a lot of people who are in position of power are afraid that if we are given a hand up, we might start treating them like the way we were treated. And so that's the main fear. If we're put in a position of power, we might turn around and do the exact same hateful stuff that was done for us for generations to them. So we look at the OJ case when it seemed as if the people of color were more victorious. It was kind of something that was kind of pushed in their face, like, oh, the justice system, this is how it feels when we're on this side of it. And so I believe that for so long, once they saw something like that, they were moderately preparing to ensure that something like that would never happen again. And so this is something that they were doing nationally. It may have been done in segments and increments, but gentrification is the mold that they use, and their platform is stepping stone to do this. So if we can get them away from these areas that we want to develop, we can then take the control, because all we're going to do now with the census coming up, now we can redraw the lines. So we have you disproportionately represented. You may not even get a chance, even in the area that was originally yours, to have someone that look like you that represents you.
But you know what, Reggie? This is what when you say don't look like me. This is what kind of bothers me, because some of the people who are part of the conspiracy look just like us.
Ooh.
You know, the director of the Mobile Housing Board is African American.
Yeah.
The director of the board of directors at the Mobile Housing Board is African American. But neither one. So how could you? How could we? You know, see, I don't want to make this a racial thing because it ain't really about race. It's about money and power.
That's
See,
right.
it's about money and power.
Yeah.
But more importantly, though, there are a lot of African Americans who are working contrary to the progress of the race, just like these people trying to change the government.
Absolutely. I think our vigilancy should focus on green, as you just mentioned, with power and money. But it's interesting because we look at who's now over the housing authority, and they were before presiding over the airport authority, and now all of a sudden it's a conflict of interest for you to serve in one capacity, and now you have to go to another capacity, but yet they're all intertwined working the same. So I would be encouraging the same way Dr. King was so adamant about us knowing what's actually going on. You have to be engaged and participating to see this, so you won't be fooled by the rhetoric, because he always talked about how the media can put something out in front of you and it will have you disillusioned. You know, you won't even understand what it really is, because you're thinking it's actually one way, because it seems like, oh, well, this is a source that we can trust. This is the media. So we're believing that this is what it's going to be. But if you're engaged, you can know how that can be manipulated as well. Because that's the same way, again, this guy who was once over the airport, now is over the housing authority, which is removing all of the properties that are allowing this process to take place.
For who to come in and take over the property.
Thank you. For the airport. And
the airport.
That's what I'm saying. So
Right.
this is stuff, again, if we look at it through the media, we can be fooled by the idea of, well, it's a African American who's leading the housing authority.
But you know, Reggie, I'm interjecting this because I don't, you know, I'm not a racist. You are not a racist.
Absolutely.
But what we are, though, we are concerned about our racist consciousness. But the things that are happening, Dr. King said in his speech one day, he would want to live in an all-black society, that he want to live in an all-white society.
That's right.
Because within both of those societies, we have those people who say they are people of God, but you know, you can work for God but not do God's work. See,
Absolutely.
you can work for God but you don't do His work.
Absolutely.
When you do His work, you help His people. The prophet Nehemiah said that you have to get the people in the mind to work.
Right.
That means that they have to understand that they are part of this physical change. Do you have any concluding statement?
Well, I believe, to your point, to make sure that we understand it's not necessarily about race, Dr. King emphasized the idea that you have to be vocal. And so your life doesn't matter anymore once you become silent about the things that actually do matter. So that's what we're saying. It's not an idea of us talking about color. It's saying these are the issues that matter for all of us. You know, my best friend since second grade is a white guy, you know, from Lioncourt. Then I went to school, Callaway Smith, Bill Orangegrove, went to Murphy, but I have my degrees from HBCU and a PWI. So it's not about the idea of color. It's about saying what's right and what's wrong.
No, that's what it is. And you know, Dick Gregory said, in the end, it ain't about black and white. It's about right and wrong. It's exactly right.
Absolutely.
And so we just appreciate you coming today as we get ready to make our final commentary.
Yes, indeed.
But do you have any other
Well,
thing?
I just want to encourage everybody to use tomorrow not as a off day, but a day to be on. You know, and we're going to be showing why service is so important. Service is the idea of sovereignty. You know, that's the highest level of anything that you can do. Dr. King always said, anybody can be great because everybody can serve. As long as we understand that concept, we'll see a better Mobile, and we'll see the things that we know is necessary for our people, what we actually deserve. And so, I'm just thankful for WGOK, and yourself for always putting these messages out that encourage our people to do better. And I just want to wish everybody a safe and a happy Martin Luther King Day, and let's do the things we got to do to make the city better.
All right, then. We appreciate that. We're going to conclude our program today by just giving you about a 5-minute commentary about why is it so important that we really celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday tomorrow. If you have never marched in the rally in Mobile, Alabama, you need to march tomorrow. Because these people trying to change our government and send us back to a period where we are subversive and not. Pride is about working for ourselves. Whenever you have, pride is one of the seven deadly sins. But pride is what about looking above. But more importantly, though, what is the role of the church? The church is the guardian of our civilization. It is the guardian of our civilization. Dr. Martin Luther King, as he entered Memphis, said in his final speech, said, "I have come to Memphis tonight to talk to you about a dream that God has brought me here, that I looked over into the promised land. And what I saw in the promised land, God kept his word. But we will never get to the promised land unless we come together as a race of people and love each other and help each other." The scripture tells us that the greatest commandment that Jesus has given us is that we shall love ye one another as I have loved you. As we move into the celebration of Dr. King's birthday, tonight we'll be at the Marriott Hotel at 6 o'clock. We want you to come over to the gala and see the young kids who are going to get scholarships in the morning at 8 o'clock at the Dearborn Street Community Center with the campground and bottom organization with Tracy Oldham and Brother Casmaraw and all. We're going to be teaching our youth about bullying. And Reggie, we want you to come over too because you're very helpful with that area too. But more importantly though, we've come to the mountaintop and God has allowed us to look over into the Garden of Eden and to the Promised Land. But what we see is very, very critical. If Dr. King was here today, he would see how we as a race of people are hurting each other. And most people say, look, we act like crabs in a bucket. And everybody want to come around and say, well, it's around about, people act like crabs in a bucket. I say, why do the crabs in the bucket act like they do? Why are they always pulling each other down? And the reason why I've come to the conclusion, and old man in the morning time used to always tell me, say, Robert Bell, you come up with all of those psychological stuff. But psychologically, the reason why the crabs act like they do in a bucket and pull each other down because God didn't make them for the bucket. He made them for the water. So whenever we are our natural environment, whenever we are our natural habitat, we are contrary to the order for which God has designed for each of us as he made and prepared for us. One thing that God has promised, he has promised that he will never leave or forsake us. I believe that. But tomorrow at Lions Park, at 12 o'clock, if you can't march, you need to come out and sit up in a chair, wheelchair, or on a racket or something, or gurney, because we need to show the people in Mobile that we as African American people care about what happened to our children and what happened to our future. It is very important that you get out to vote, because if we lose the supermajority, we lose the future and the hope that Senator Michael Anthony Figgers dreamed years ago. And that the purpose of the supermajority was to give African American leverage so we could have input into what go on, so we could direct the things that happen to our community. But boy, if they roll back the supermajority, then all the things that will take to make the city grow will be decided by a simple majority. And you know right now who is the majority. We are the majority of racial in the city, but we are not the majority in those who think about the progress of our people. And we know at the University of South Alabama, I spoke out there Friday night. Now we got 4,000 African American students at the University of South Alabama. But guess how many we got in the Black Student Union? About 50 or 100. So I'm going to make an effort. We have lost our way because we have failed to believe in ourselves. Pride is one of the 7 deadly sins that will cause us the opportunity to denigrate and not be what we should be. But Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the Russian dissident, says that we have AIDS and HIV will take a catastrophic toll on the human race in its demise. But the most important thing that will cause us to fall away is superficiality and falsification. What that means is that we are playing games and we are thinking that we're somebody. Everybody pretending. Rush Limbaugh even had a statement one time say, "We into a period now where everybody playing a game." My friend Paul Robinson used to have a little slogan say, "Fake it till you make it." But if you fake it, you're not going to ever see the reality of what Jesus has planned for us. He promised us in the beginning that He'll make you a guardian over a few things and bring you up so you could be over many. We'd like to leave you today with a message of hope as we go tonight to the Marriott to celebrate the anniversary of the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King with hope. I have hope. I have faith. I believe that God will keep His word, and I too believe that I am not afraid to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ because it is our hope and our dreams. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "I have come to the mountaintop and I have looked over into Jordan, and what I see is the promised land." But will we ever get there? It's been 50 years since he made that speech, and we are receding and going back from our goals to the promised land. But we want you to come out tomorrow. We're going to have signs up about changing this government. We're going to get you out to vote. All you people out there with the little Mardi Gras, if y'all go out to vote like you go to Mardi Gras, we could be free the next day. You don't believe that, do you? I'd like to leave you with the message of hope that when God give you a blessing, and He's still in the blessing business, that is your Christian and your ethical responsibility to pass it on. Save our people, save our race, save our community, and save Mobile so that African Americans can maintain the supermajority. Our program goes out to President Lavon Manzi, to Fred Richardson, and to C.J. Small. Thank you and happy birthday.
All right, fellas, y'all have a good one.
He gonna give me a